Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here, coming at you from the Knife Center, and it's our favorite time of the week because it is the first New Knives episode of the new year, where we take a look at the coolest new items that have just hit our shelves. Let's check them out. All right, first things first, we got a couple of exclusives to talk about. The first is both the latest and the last ProTech TR3s with CruWear blade steel. 4 variants actually. We've got fish scale, smooth black, Punisher logo black, as well as this grooved version, which happens to be left-handed, as you can see right here. The other 3 variants right now are right-handed, but we do have a left-hand option with grooves, not with just a simple flat thing going on, something a little bit extra. We hear you guys. We do appreciate you lefties out there for sure. Apart from that, what haven't I said about the TR3 in the last few videos we've shown this? Well, the main difference versus some of the others is the blade coating itself. Whereas the previous versions so far we've had black, this is a smoky gray. On camera it may not look that different, quite honestly, but it's a bit more of kind of a graphite feel to it, and it's got a bit more reflectivity. So for someone like me who prefers honestly a non-coated blade, it's just me, I like this a little bit better than the black. But to kind of sum up what I've said about the TR3, which stands for Tactical Response 3, despite the tactical intent or the tactical leanings of this knife, it's a great everyday knife. Blade not quite 3.5 inches long, easy using drop point that works for just about all your needs, and a handle shape that works just really well, at least for my hands, which are slightly larger than average, of course. But it's an awesome knife, and it's a ProTech, so awesome action. It's got that ProTech sound, which is exactly what you want to see and hear. Price right now, $240, and like I said, these 4 variants are the last CruWear TR3s that we'll be getting in. So if you've waited, make sure not to wait too much longer. Next up, Flytanium. Titanium handle scale sets for the Kershaw Lucha are now available. We've got a few versions, a Dayglow G10 and a Jade G10 for about $174 right now. We've also got these KnifeCenter exclusives, which are a little bit more expensive, about $196, and it has the Mars Valley fat carbon inlays. Very, very cool. I'm showing it to you here with the blade installed, but this is for just the set of handles, that price. It doesn't come with the blade, so you'll have to supply that separately, of course. And the other thing with these Mars Valley versions, these actually are going to be very limited in number. I think it's just 8 pieces that we've got, and they've serialized the insides of them for us to make it a little extra special. It's somewhere here. Hang on. But yes, here we go. It's inside the handle right here. Thomas is not going to be able to see that very well in the camera, I don't think. This one right here, which is 007, we were actually giving away. By the time you've seen this video, we will already have given this set away, but we have a few more, and we're going to be getting another exclusive in soon, just not with the Mars Valley right here. So that's going to be a cool piece, and the serial number there is just to make it a little extra special. But as for the build quality, they're fantastic. They feel good. It transforms an already good, you know, attainably priced battle song into something far more high-end feeling. And it's never a good look, me flicking these things at the table, because I, one, only have the one move really, and I'm always nervous about hitting stuff underneath. But it feels fantastic. It changes the flipping feel of it just a little bit. I'm not sure how to describe why it's different. It just does feel a little bit different. So it's very, very cool. These pieces are milled in the USA. These aren't imported like some Flytanium products. So that is going to increase the price a little bit, of course, but the results they got speak for themselves. All right, next we've got a new special release from CRKT. Came out a few days ago, actually right before the end of the year. Literally, I think the last, what was the 30th, right? So the 31st is still, that's still 2022.
Calendars are hard.
Calendars are like math, but it's inconsistent, so it's harder than math.
I gotta buy a new one. My last one expired.
Yeah. That's right. Check your expiration dates on your calendars, people. This is the Fultz Minimalist. As you can see, it is a little bit fancier or a little bit upgraded compared to some of the other versions that are out there. 154 cm blade steel with the drop point and a black resin-infused fiber handles. It's Makora. Just don't call it Makora. Really, really cool. Comes in just under $100. You've got the same blade size, just over 2 inches. The same aggressive finger grooves there that somehow still manage to work, whether your hands and fingers are large or small. And of course the fob at the back to give you an extra little pinky's worth of grip there. It's really nice. The sheath is leather. It's actually a belt sheath, which I find a little bit perhaps strange. Would you carry a small knife like this on your belt? I don't know if I would or not, but it would also work in traditional neck fashion, thanks to the grommet at the end of that here. And if you really wanted to, you could probably slice that loop off. But that's a cool little package. The blade steel is certainly a welcome upgrade from, I think the drop points are still running with 5CR stainless steel, so definitely a step up right there. It's got a satin finish as opposed to the bead blast or black finishes on some of the more base models. It's just really nice. It's nice. Nice. Great little blade shape. Let's keep the small knife train going, shall we? Zero tolerance with their 22. This is the 22 TIBRZ, titanium bronze is essentially the meaning of that. You've got a slightly warm titanium color here, the bronze aspect with gold colored pivot collar on the front and barrel spacer on the back. Price on this $240. US made 1.8 inch blade of 20 CV steel. Lots of edge retention right there because essentially, I always kind of say this with small knives, if you're gonna spend good money on a small knife, you don't have a ton of edge to work with, so you wanna make sure it lasts as long as possible. So 20 CV is definitely a good choice there. Yeah, there are, of course, higher edge retention steels out there, but man, 20 CV is no slouch when done right. Like the Minimalist, we've got aggressive finger grooves, just 2 in this case, and enough space for another half finger behind that. And yet this still has managed to feel like a fairly stable and secure knife in the hand despite its small size. A little bit due to the width, a little bit due to the thickness of the handle as well, I think. Standard pocket clip on the back that shares the side with the frame lock with the lock bar insert there, as you can see. Clip is reversible to the other side. The action rides on KVT bearings. It's nice and crisp, even though it's nice and small overall. I will say this is a problem I've run into personally with this knife. Without thinking, if I grip this knife too hard, I usually couch the knife in the meat of my thumb right there. That little tip can catch you if you kind of squeeze over the side a little bit. So once you adjust to the knife, it's no problem, of course. So there you go. Really cool thing, a little bit different from the carbon fiber version that's out now, and in a way, I think it's even more classy looking. All right, let's go from small to big. Enough of these small knives, right, people? I like small knives, it's fine. The Oknife Limited Edition Zilla. And as the name might evoke, this is a larger knife. 3.5 inch blade, but very broad in the profile, as you can see here. About 85 bucks, comes with 154 cm steel, and let's see, harpoon drop point, I would say. Because you got this harpoony thing going on, whereas most harpoon points I tend to think of as having a straight clip. This is a straight drop, or a harpoon drop point. I really like the blade shape actually, and the edge geometry. It's basically a giant drop point. It's gonna slice really well. That edge or that geometry grind is so high, and the blade is not super thick. That's just gonna be awesome. And yet, because of the shape, I think you could use the tip very effectively, even on surfaces very easily. It's pretty cool. Just a, it's got a nice gradual belly along the bottom. Yeah, that's just nice. That's a lot of knife for the money too. Liner lock, deep carry pocket clip with reversibility for left or right hand carry. Flipper with ball bearings kind of completes the story of this knife. Yeah, man, it does what you would expect, and it does it quite well. One more Oknife this week. They've really been rolling out a lot of releases back to back lately. Check the the whole brand over at the site, but this is the Ratel, Ratel perhaps. $75 for this one, 154 cm again, and it's kind of the same, spec sheet or materials sheet as the Zilla there, but just in a different configuration. 3.2-inch blade, Tonto profile. Both sections are flat ground. You don't get a like a hollow ground straight section at the back, and the black stonewashed finish is pretty nice. Blue G10. Are there a couple different versions of it? Actually, I think this might be the only one. You can check the link in the description to see if I'm correct about that. But Blue G10, deep carry clip with reversibility, black liners in this case with the liner lock, and ball bearings behind the flipper for excellent action. Feels really good. If you're kind of wondering what the quality of these is like, these are actually being made by Kaiser as far as I know still. In fact, this one, as you can see, has the Azo name on the back, which is Kaiser's in-house designer. What about this Zilla? Ooh, this is a gauge design. I should have mentioned that. I apologize for not mentioning it earlier. But back to my point, Kaiser's building these. Kaiser's been on an absolute tear lately with their more affordably priced models especially, and you're definitely going to see that evident in the quality of these knives. Next up, we have a couple other more affordable knives, or at least actually one other more affordable knife. This is the Sencut Kyril, $42, and it is, to my knowledge, the first collaboration that Sencut has done with an outside designer, in this case, Ferrum Forge Design. Check it out. Yeah, once you know that, I think this is a little less obvious of a Ferrum Forge influence, but once you know it is, you do start to kind of see the connections. At least that's the way it worked for me when seeing this knife at first. As for the materials, we've got a 9CR stainless steel, which is very solid stuff, especially at this price point. And you've got it on this modified sheep's foot blade, just over 3 inches long, and just a hint of belly to the edge. Apart from that, it's just a straight ahead sheep's foot. Very cool. High flat grind, appropriately thicknessed blade stock, really strong utility and everyday shape right there for sure. Yeah, feels really good. Not a hand filling grip, but there is enough there to push it if you need to. And you've also got that finger choil, which given the size of my fingers is more like a fingertip choil in front of that flipper tab to do some choked up work with. Jade G10 right here. We've got black G10 and black micarta as well right now. Deep carry clip. It is reversible, at least it looks reversible. Yeah. Reversibility built in, ball bearings, great flipping action at a $42 price point. It's kind of like people have been saying, oh, hey, the Civivis have been getting a little more expensive lately. Well, this is the same company as Civivi and We Knife Company. The higher priced Sencuts, which this is one of them, is kind of taking the place a little bit of the early, really inexpensive Civivis out there. Same level of quality, I think that is for sure. All right, next we have a new Kansept as well. This is the Reverie, and you can probably guess that this is a Justin Lundquist design. He's had a few designs with Civivi and We, actually, that bear some pretty strong similarities to this knife. This guy comes in at $189. You've got an S35 VN blade, just under 3 inches, with that kind of long, almost California clip point style blade going on. Very, very cool looking. I really like the swooping angle to the grind at the back too. It kind of pulls the curves from the bolster area here in towards the blade a little bit. Very nice. Stonewash finish. You folks know I like that. It hides scratches with use a lot better than other finishes do. And we've even got a crowned spine ahead of the jimping right here. Really, really nice touch, especially if you like to do any kind of cuts where your fingers are kind of traveling up the spine for stabilization, that sort of thing. Plus, it just looks good as well, gotta say. The handles are titanium, the bolsters are integral, and this inlay is a brown micarta, and the prices on this, like I said, about $189, but there are more expensive versions with fat carbon inlays. We've even got a Timascus inlaid version with both sides as well. Those climb up considerably in price, of course. Pocket clip is almost deep carry. It comes in towards the back of the cap for sure, but it is milled and you don't quite get that deep carry quality. Single screw with a milled in pocket to hold the clip in place. And I tend to worry sometimes about single screw retention pocket clips, but there is no wiggle on that clip whatsoever. Lanyard point at the back for attaching your accessories. Frame lock on the front. And this is a top flipper. Now, you folks know that I'm not the best at front flippers. This is a top flipper, which I tend to prefer, but it's pretty subtle. So it takes just a hint of thought for me anyway to reliably hit it every time. Front flipping or thumb flicking, it works great, I gotta say. Love the lines. I love the little milling on the bolster here. It gives you a nice pad for pinching. Gives you that little extra traction and the extra feeling of security there. Solid, solid package. I really dig it. All right, we're gonna jump up the price ladder here just a bit, quite a bit, with the Shirogorov Quantum Gen 2, $1,150 for this beast. And what you're paying for with that amount of money is just an utter precision that has to kind of be held and really scrutinized to really appreciate. Photos never do these things justice. And it's just the feel of everything, the way they're put together is, you know, better than some custom makers out there that charge, you know, double the price. It's fantastic. 4 1/4 inch blade, M390 blade steel, awesome milling on the titanium handles. I mean, just check it out. Best part to me is the weight on this knife. It is a 4 1/4 inch blade. It's only 4.2 ounces heavy, or not heavy. I mean, that is, honestly, I thought it was lighter, and maybe it's a perception thing. You're used to a larger knife coming with a commensurate amount of weight along with it, and this one just doesn't. It has a nimbleness and a liveliness to it that is just awesome. What can I say?
The things you said.
The things I said. I mean, little details like this. Check out that fine milling on the relief there on the lock bar and the show side there, right on the inside of it. Very, very nice. Skeleton or milled out on the inside to lighten it. Everything's great, man. Everything's just so good.
I think he likes it.
I've said this before. Many people have actually said this before. I did not come up with this. But it's kind of like if Chris Reeve were to make flippers, they'd be something like this probably. In terms of, I'm talking level of quality at least. Different idiosyncrasies, of course, between them and the Shiros, but just the level of quality is phenomenal. All right, next up we have a new Hoback. This is the OneSam front flipper. It's actually a dual flipper. We'll get to that. $425 for this knife. It is imported. And we've got a 3 1/4 inch 20 CV blade with this kind of aggressive stabby profile. I don't like to say stabby, but it's a pokey little blade for sure. But we've got a very acute tip. Nice, actually, I like the blade thickness. I might tend to prefer a higher flat grind than what we've got here. But when you take a look at these grinds with that kind of flat geometry saber grind and the aggressive swedge here, this kind of screams combat intent to me, even though it's really more of just a fancy EDC, which is fine, actually. I don't know why I'm making a deal out of it. That's no problem at all.
When you really want to attack that cardboard.
There you go. Titanium handles, pocket clip with the signature axe cutout in it. I almost said liner, like frame lock here. And I really like the backside of the pivot, the way it's kind of keyed and inset in there. It's pretty cool. As for the action, we have ball bearings. We have a back flipper and the front flipper. Back flipper, I have no problem with. Front flipper, I was having no problem with before we started rolling, so naturally I'm gonna mess it up here probably. Fooled you. Fooled myself, actually. So there you go. Built very well. The Hoback OneSam. All right, next up, we've got a couple of Heretic automatics with MagnaCut blade steel, everybody's favorite. Ring the bell, ding, ding, ding. The first is the Colossus, several versions of this right now, 450 bucks, 3 1/2 inch blade with MagnaCut steel, aluminum frame with the traction coated inserts, black traction inlays. Yeah, that's what they call them. It's kind of similar to what you might find on something like a Kershaw Blur perhaps, although much more high-end feeling overall. Very, very cool. We've had a mini Colossus before that I've shown on this channel, but I've never kind of held one of the big boys, and it feels a bit more stout than I'm used to feeling from OTFs. Just really solid, a little bit thicker on the blade stock there, but with that Magna Cut, you're gonna have good edge retention, very good toughness, and almost completely stainless as well. High marks in all three categories. And the blade shape is even. See, I'd call this a straight clip point, but Benchmade might call that a reverse Tonto if this were like on a 940. Nothing? Nothing to add, Thomas?
No, you got it.
I did well. Thank you. Solid, solid knives. Pocket clip is reversible, mounted from the tail. I always love seeing that. And that enables this to be a completely ambidextrous knife, thanks to the controls being there on the spine of the handle as well. Very, very nice. We've also got the Heretic Roc, the Roc Auto, which, depending on where you live in the country, that might remind you of certain car dealerships. But this is a 3.2-inch Magna Cut blade, hawkbill shape, of course, $3.99 for this knife. The aluminum is milled quite finely. The action is great. And it's just always oh so satisfying to be firing out a curved OTF blade like this. That's awesome.
It's like a cat's claw.
It could damage like some cat's claw if it needed to. Man, cat's claws are no joke sometimes. But yeah, works really well. If you wanted to use this for a sort of intimidation factor, yes, that comes into play. But I'm not about that. So let's talk about utility, shall we? What I like about a hawkbill blade is the ability to kind of gather things into the blade as you cut it, or at least keep things from slipping out. So long cuts through cardboard can be really nice like this, especially as you get kind of down towards the bottom of a cut. The tip orientation here is, as an example, if it's going the other way, it'd be real easy to kind of slip out of a cut. This keeps it in there. Also works really well when sawing through stuff like rope, thick fibrous stuff, because again, it's kind of gathering into itself instead of slipping off, so to speak. Very cool stuff. And you still got that Magna Cut too. Man, crown spine, I just noticed that. Lots of cool touches right here, for sure. All right, next up, we have got a Marfione Custom Knives Makora. This is Thomas's truck money right here. This is $2,215.
That's how much I paid for my Mustang.
But check it out. That's crazy. The blade is hot blued Vegas Forge Reptilian Damascus. Wow. Man, it's shiny. It's hollow ground on each side, so those edges are nice and thin. The inlays are black DLC'd titanium. The frame itself is, of course, aluminum. You get the inlays on both sides. This one is number 24. It should be mentioned. That's kind of cool. Microtech action. Striking blade. Man. Phew. I can't afford it, but man, it's nice. The pocket clip, I love the finish on that, actually. Little details like that, I swear. It's kind of like that ProTech finish we talked about earlier. It's not quite black. It's something a little bit more visually interesting, kind of draws you in a little bit with its kind of semi-coated appearance. I don't know, it's awesome. Can't afford it, but it's awesome. Next up, last but not least, we have another double-edged Microtech. This is one of their collaborations with Borka Blades, Signature Series SBD. This version comes in at 446. Double-edged, 4 3/8 of an inch long. Steel is M390, as you can see on the blade right there. That is a lot of edge retention. That's a lot of vicious edge. It's kind of like a big boy boot knife in a way, is kind of what I think about whenever I see this knife. And as for the feel in the hand, it's honestly quite fantastic. I mean, check out, carefully holding this blade, check out the swells on those bolted on handles, which are carbon fiber in this case. The shape is right. The hardware accents beautifully with a kind of bronzed look as well. The tang, while proud, is crowned all the way around, so it's very comfortable there also. Yeah, man, a lot of just really cool stuff this week that doesn't need to justify itself other than the fact that it's cool. That's justification enough. I know I said boot knife, and you could. It does have this kind of J-style clip right here, but I see this much more likely to be carried inside the waistband or something like that with that type of hardware. Yeah, it's awesome. Do you really need to know more? All right, that is all that I have to show you this week. Happy start to the new year, everyone. 2023 should be great. We're going to be at SHOT Show in a couple weeks, so you're going to get to see all the brand new releases from all of the big production companies. We may even have some previews for you next week before the show, in fact. So stay tuned there. Let me know what you thought of these knives down in the comments, and if you want to get your hands on them, check out the links in the description to take you to KnifeCenter.com. And while you're there, always remember we've got our Knife Rewards program, because if you're going to be spending your money on one of these knives, it sure is nice to get some free money to spend on a future one. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center. That's Thomas behind the camera. Happy New Year, everyone.